Hello, digital animation class, and welcome to the April 27th edition of Remote Instruction. The discussion post for the 60% finished FLA and Swift file is ready. As we talked about in the Zoom meeting last week, it's very important that you get your files posted no later. Earlier would be much better, but absolute latest would be 2 p.m. class starting time on the 27th. They will be marked late otherwise, just like as the syllabus states in the case of a critique. If you're not there for the critique or you don't make it possible for us to critique your work, then it's considered a week late. So here are the steps. You'll post your FLA and your Swift by 2 p.m. By 2:10 p.m., choose a person's work to critique. Reply to their post right away with a statement like this: I will critique this one. When you do that, hold your breath, not hold your breath, but hold off for a second or two. Make sure that someone else doesn't pop up coincidentally at the same time and do that. That's obviously why it's much better to get them in early, because then we won't have that issue. If it does happen, just pick another one and then please go back to the one that you're not going to do and remove this statement from it. Then as soon as you have one, in other words, you made this statement, you waited for a couple minutes to make sure there was no major coincidence that someone else was going for the same one, then go ahead and critique that person's work. And here are the items for the critique. Make sure that you have the critique finished before 2:30 p.m. because at 2:30 p.m. we start the Zoom meeting, and then the idea is that we'll look at the person's work, 60% finished, or wherever they are for the day. If it's less, then we work with what we have. If it's more, obviously great, we've got more to work with and we can give even better feedback. So make sure that it includes a suggestion for improvement and your favorite thing about it, and be as helpful as you can. Sometimes students are real hesitant to criticize other people's work, just either out of fear or thinking that, well, I'm not good enough to criticize this work that's really good. That's never true. The idea of doing these critiques is that it makes you think about your work more critically, but also it's kind of training to become a creative director, where you would be giving feedback on people's work and making the bigger dollars. So you must have a suggestion for improvement, timing, flow, etc. No criticisms of the person's drawing skills or anything like that, because as we talked about since day one in the semester, that's not what I feel this class is about. I think you can make unrealistic animations that are still awesome, still get the point across, like the jib jab videos that has become like the greeting card now, where you put your face on the dancing thing and the face is facing one direction, the body another. But also I showed you some of them that just use basic shapes, circles and squares, and they still evoked emotion. So we're mostly concerned about, does it make sense? So please tell the person that if you're watching it and there's a section of it that you just don't understand what's happening, it's probably not you. Maybe if there were 5 people watching, 4 of them would get it, but you're the the 20%er that doesn't. You always have to multiply these things out. So you're still helping them. So give that positive feedback, your favorite thing about it, and give the feedback that would be considered constructive criticism. All right, so that's it for this week. Now moving on to next week, it is almost the same as this week, so just make sure that by next week you're 90% finished with your animation. We'll just take a quick look at Canvas. So as you know, the discussions are here. The one for the week of the 27th is here already. And in these videos, I always say today, meaning April 27th, even though they're recorded earlier. And this week especially, I wanted to get it out to you early just to emphasize the fact that that critique needs to, or that files need to be in by 2 and the critique by 2:30. And looking at the actual announcement for May 4th, you can see be 90% finished with your animation, but I'll update this to include the information about the critique the way that we're doing it this week, and then just ask you to critique somebody else's work, not the same person that you did this week, unless you can't find someone else to critique, but ideally a new person. And I already went over in detail about the final exam in last week's video. So if you want more information on that, just go to last week's video. Look forward to seeing you today, April 27th at 2:30 p.m. in the Zoom meeting.